let's talk about CET. What are you supposed to do in the 150 hours that you have to CET? I'd suggest two things. Okay, number one, okay, right. I mean, obviously these things are very important. First, you identify the problem. To find out which areas in specific are you losing marks. Okay, then notify these areas. Okay, you can notify that to me. Okay, or just send me a mail on these areas are the things that I'm having doubts with. Okay, and I'll definitely try to get the best solution possible. Okay, strategize. Now, once you have your areas, let's say for example, your inference is not going beyond 3 on 5. Now, if your inference is not going beyond 3 on 5, all you got to do is like have another 1 mark, or maybe like sometimes nothing. You can just 3 on 5. So you have to just leave that section as 3 on 5. Don't worry about it, because anyway in CET you need to score 160, okay, and not 200. That's one thing you need to understand. You're not supposed to get out of marks here. Okay, now we'll try to get an optimal solution to any problem that you face. Okay, uh, probably schedule your mocks well. Write 2 mocks a day every day from tomorrow. Okay, I'm sure I've told this to you earlier as well, but you have to write 2 mocks a day. All right, and then analyze the mocks well. Okay, so today we have a gang of like people who gonna like who are like prospective kind of, you can say, JB gang, whatever. Okay, but thing is, precisely more than that, I want to talk about how do you exactly take it ahead. Okay, from here. Okay, so I want you to pour in a lot of doubts. Okay, right away. Okay, here itself. So I'm turning on the page. So I just want you to like talk about like whatever areas you feel you lack in. Okay, so I've invited a lot of people. uh, Precisely I wanted somewhere around 30 to 40 people who would get an invitation for this, and we'll keep adding more. It's not necessary that if you haven't been added or your friend hasn't been added right now, it won't be added later as well. We will add them as well. Okay, as and when their marks increase, I'm actually like looking at your marks and everything. So as and when that increases, we're going to add those people as well. All right, so strategize precisely. Okay, so how do you exactly go about this? Now there is, let's say you take a mock. Okay, any mock you take. Now there's going to be like, obviously now you're very well aware about what is there in LR. Okay, what all you have. You have sequences, you have coding, decoding, you have digit symbol, you have a lot of things like that. Okay, now in LR I think your general accuracy should be around 90% to 100%, which is out of marks. Okay, because LR will come for around 75 questions, and you have to get a 75 on 75 in this. Okay, that's number one. We're targeting 160 here. Okay, precisely. Talk about the next pretty important, pretty scoring, verbal ability. Okay, you have RCs, you have SC, sentence corrections, you have sentence completions, you have a parajumble, which is beautiful. Okay, it's very simple and straightforward. Okay, you remember the rules that I taught you in class on parajumbles. Okay, you just go with those rules once again, just revise. And you have FIBs with a very straightforward word fill in the blank. Okay, don't worry about those kind of pompous words that you did in CAT. You don't have to do that anymore. All right, uh, next after LR and verbal ability, you definitely have quant, which is very simple. It is a cakewalk. Okay, now in verbal ability you're gonna get around 50 questions, 50 to 55 questions. You got to get them again out of 90%, or maybe like out of marks. Okay, so if you get 75 here and 50 here, you can easily see 125 something. You like definitely will cross in these two itself. Okay, talk about quantitative ability. It's very simple. It's all about arithmetic, PNC, probability. But PNC, probability, very basic questions. Okay, last year they had a question non-negative precisely. Okay, so I'm sure the CAT guys, you know what non-negative is. Okay, the CET guys, I'll talk about non-negative in one of those lectures. Just keep following me. All right, so you have numbers, but only HCF and LCM. So that's like a savior. You don't have remainders and Eulers and all that. But you are pretty good with that. You join numbers, so you must be good at numbers. So that's the assumption we start with. Anyway, so arithmetic, PNC, probability, numbers. Okay, those kind of things come in quant. Okay, around 20 marks will be quant. DI is just about 4 sets of DI. One of them will be miscellaneous set. Okay, give decent time to it. Okay, you get 20 marks. You can watch one of my videos where I've taught how to analyze a mock. Okay, out there I've told you how much time to give to what area. Okay, so you have DI for 4 sets around, and then finally you have visual reasoning, the scary one. Okay, uh, here it comes for around 30 marks. Okay, 30 questions, 30 marks, but precisely keep it around 24 to 25 as an accuracy sake. Okay, around 80% should be the accuracy here. All right, so now if you carefully check, if you have accuracies high in these two, the first two, 125 is there and 120 is 145, and in these two areas you can just manage somewhere around 25 30 marks more, precisely making you reach somewhere around 160 170 odd marks. Okay, that's the intention. So you here, anybody is here? Okay, 5 viewers. Hi guys. So you may type in your doubts, please. Okay, go ahead. You've been privileged to be a part of this conversation. Yeah. So you can talk further. So this is how you strategize everything. Okay. Now, when you write a mock, I'd probably recommend start with these two things. Okay. Always hunt for LR and verbal ability first, and do quant obviously. LR, verbal, and quant. Okay. You can leave visual reasoning and DI for the next round. They may be unseemingly time consuming at times. Okay. But that's okay, not a big deal. You can actually do it in the next round. So first round you do these two things. Okay, round one, and then round two you do these two things, and you'll definitely boost your scores. I mean, everybody who's following the strategy, I'm sure, either workshop guy or a CT guy or a cat guy. Okay. uh, Everybody has got a boost in marks. So precisely that's about, like, how exactly things should work. Okay. uh, okay, so we have 5 people. uh, let's talk about a mock. Okay. Now we discussed one of these mocks yesterday in class, but still I just like to just go to an overview of the same thing again. Okay. We discussed one of these. Now whenever you analyze a mock, now what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to see there's a difficulty level here. Now all questions of CT I've kept them medium difficulty level. Okay, that is like kind of a balance. You'll see it's all about medium. Okay, all are medium difficulty. I mean, they're easy, but I mean, talking about CT standards, they're medium. Okay. uh, so if you go ahead with this, like, you have this time here. Okay, now this time should not surpass 45 seconds. Keep that in mind. Wherever you see more than 45 seconds taken for a set or a question in specific, please note it down. That'll be a weak area. Now we'll have to work on this very well. Okay, we'll talk how do we work on the weak areas in this video. Don't worry about that. So it should be around 45 seconds. Shouldn't take more than 45 seconds. Okay, if it takes more than 45, it's a weak area precisely, and work on that. Why is that? I mean, whatever mocks you've taken, if you score 140, 130, whatever your score is, okay, it doesn't matter. Okay. From now it doesn't matter anymore, because from today onwards we're going to work on you guys in specific when it comes to your attempts and your scores in the last 6 days when I'm working in 2014-15 batch. Okay, so I'll give my best shot here. 140 to 130 is what you're scoring right now, but you talk about the 70 to 60 that you don't score. Okay, I mean, look at these areas. How much time you're taking? Are you taking more than 45 seconds and still getting it wrong? Okay, if you're still getting it wrong, taking more than 45 seconds, it's suicidal, because number one, you're giving them more time, and number two, you're getting it wrong. Okay, so that's stupid, that's suicidal. Okay, so but first we'll analyze these 141. What happens normally is you tend to analyze these 70, 60 questions that you left. Don't do that. First analyze these 140 that you got. Okay, analyzing correct question is more productive than analyzing incorrect questions, or maybe like unattempted questions. Okay, now 140, you just analyze why couldn't you score more than this. So what exactly to do here? Which are the areas where you've taken 45 seconds plus? Notice that first. Okay, and then take it forward from there. Okay, so this green symbol out here, basically, this time, the green symbol next to the time means that you've taken less than 45 seconds. Okay, if it's a red symbol, it means you've taken more than 45 seconds precisely. Yeah, so you need to understand that first. Just a minute. Okay, you need to understand that first before we understand anything else. Okay, so when you go for any mock analysis. Okay, when you do any mock, and not necessarily numbers mock, just look at it. I mean, just look at the graph, look at everything, look at what exactly was the explanation given to you down here. Okay, so there's an explanation tab here. We can look at the explanation. 2 3 mocks don't have explanations because I'm going to discuss them anyway. One of them is this mock that I'm showing right now. All right, so now this is like one of the miscellaneous DI sets. So DI and all, you don't waste time on it, because what happens is your CET is more psychological paper. Okay, it's more psyche, less of kind of cat and conceptual paper. Okay, okay. So when you talk about DI, and let's say you start solving in a school, there are 800 students who have visited 5 different cities, blah blah blah. 54% of the total students are boys. Okay, when you do these kind of things, it takes a lot of time initially. Okay, because you just sat there. Okay, and you don't want to like stress yourself up so much by these kind of huge big questions. Okay, so RCs, I'd suggest RCs, DI, and caselets. You can do it towards the end, and visual reasoning obviously, but you can start with something like this. Say, for example, in a certain code, 461 means where are you, 169 means you are good. Now if you see UR is in both. UR is here, UR is there as well. So once I see a UR here, once I see a UR there, okay, I know where is going to be and good is going to be what, because UR will have the same code. So 1616 is going to be UNR, and where is 4 and good is 9. something like that. Okay, so you start with these kind of questions, because these will give you, like, see how many questions you have. You have 5 such questions. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5. I mean, it'll hardly take more than 2 to 2.5 minutes once you're decoded everything. Okay, which will take around 2 minutes. It's marking will take around 30 more seconds. Yeah, not a big deal at all. Similarly, the next type of question, the same thing follows. So these kind of questions, just definitely do them before. Okay, do them at the start. Okay, start running towards these questions first. Okay, so okay, still 5 viewers. uh that's pretty cool. Okay, I've sent a lot of people the mail. I mean, I've sent 30 of them. Let's see when are they expected. Sorry, 9 10. It's like they're probably trying to trying to go, like, it's actual class, like we'll reach to 15 minutes late. It's fine, big deal. Anyway, so coming back. So now when you have these kind of questions, for example, data sufficiency, you're supposed to do it first. Okay, who among Mira is tallest? So Mira, Pinky, Sadhna, fourth person not given, cannot be determined. Jyoti is taller, Sadhna, two people given. Okay, and then you can merge these two together and see if it's sufficient or not, and that's how it works. Okay, so precisely, it's very simple. Okay, if you notice carefully. All right, so O is the husband of N. You have to find out the relation N and M. So O is the husband of N. Okay, so we know O and N. Okay, Z is sister of M, is daughter of N. So we know M and N here in the second statement. So definitely 1 and 2 together will give you the answer, because here you get the gender. O is the husband of N, so N has to be a female. Okay, precisely. All right, so something like this. You start with these kind of questions first. Start with this kind of a question first. Inequality based coding. Okay, uh, RCs you just skip. Okay, just skip the RC. Now here, what the intention of the batch is, I mean, I'm sure from tomorrow we'll have a little more people. Okay, coming in, because half of you don't have any idea about the fact. The intention of the batch is, I want you guys to tell me, first of all, you start with your minimum and your maximum score. Okay, what is the minimum you're scoring, what is the maximum you've scored, and the minimum was scored in what era of your life, in the sense, like, which month did you score the minimum marks, and which month is scoring now the maximum marks, and what is exactly the mark that you're scoring. I want those things in the comments here. Okay, so please post in. And then I want your specifically, if you're a number student, I want specifically in which mock have you scored how many marks. Okay, that's pretty important. Yeah, approximation question, they're very simple. Okay, so approximation obviously you'll do in the first place. Okay, first round itself. What will come in the place of question mark? Now 5 squares 25, 25 26, 25 26, you know how to multiply, I'm sure. Yeah, so let's say I have 25 26. What is 25 26? 650. Yeah, and then I have divide by 13 minus 3 square. Okay, divide by 13 first, obviously, minus 3 square. So I divide by 13. Now since divide by 13, I wouldn't have multiplied this. Ideal tendency is to multiply. So let's go 50. Okay, and then you have minus something, minus 9. Okay, is how much minus 4 square? Okay, 50 minus 9, 41 is how much minus 4 square? 41 plus 16 is precisely the answer. All right, so 57 in that case. So that's it. That's very simple. Whenever you have what will come in the place of the question mark, your answer has to be accurate. Okay, when it comes about what is the approximate value, that's the easiest part, that's the fun part. Okay, so I have 2642. 2642 is more than 50. Okay, because 2500 is 50, so 2642 is going to be 51 approximately. Minus 115, just in case we know the perfect square, 34. Okay, plus 459, 459 is going to be around 441 to 21. Yeah, so that's how you solve these questions and get it sorted. Okay, so I'm still waiting for your comments. Please go ahead and type it down. How much marks have you scored in what mocks, and how do you improvise on that? I will talk about it right now. All right, so we're 30 minutes in the class, and let's see how it goes. All right, so DI, if you see a DI, just chuck it. Just keep chucking DI. Keep, like, it's not required at all. Just keep, like, ignoring it completely. DI in case, let's just ignore. Okay, now kind of this kind of a question: to be a king and wear a crown. Now wear a crown are more glamorous than to see. Just a minute. Okay, to be a king and to wear a crown. Precisely, that's why the answer is option 2. Okay, none of the students in the class, okay. So CET is that easy that when sometimes you read, you get to know that the error is here. Okay, because you just have to read it like the way you talk, gently. So none of the students in class. Okay, that's why precisely. These questions are like what, 10-second question. Ashok is among the few people in the world which did not blindly, who did not blindly follow the path of others. Yeah, so, like, you just read and you mark. Okay, most of the people, most people like to rest after a hard day's work, after a day's hard work, whatever. But he seemed to have, okay, but he seemed to have an inexhaustive supply of energy. Okay, so he seemed to have, okay, an inexhaustive supply of energy. So what do you think? Most of the people like to rest after a day's hard work, but he seemed to have. Okay, he seemed to have. He won't be seemed to have. Okay, uh, yeah. So let's take it ahead. Yeah, so you'll do these questions first, precisely, I would suggest. Okay, and then do the other things later. So, like for example, these kind of questions. Okay, now in these kind of questions, let's say like, a lot of people come up to me and tell me that, my verbal is really bad and stuff like that. So when I just recommend the same thing to them. When I have something like, a verbal thing like the sword of Tipu Sultan was recently, let's say you have bad verbal, just look at the options here. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and just try to fit in here. Okay, I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be that difficult. That it's going to be like, very challenging or a time consuming task for you, because it's pretty straightforward all the time. Okay, the sword of Tipu Sultan was recently brought at an auction by an Indian for 2 crores. Bought at an auction, precisely. Okay, bought in an auction, by the way. Okay, so you bring at an auction but you buy in an auction. So that's how it's that easy. Okay, setbacks and failures have always been an integral part. So because you're talking plural, so I have to have a have. Okay, so these things definitely go for it. Parajumbles is like brilliant. Okay, because parajumbles is all about, okay, parajumbles has few guidelines basically. Okay, number one, always when you see a parajumble, okay, keep that in mind. Your starting statement has to be an introduction in CET, at least. Okay, has to be an introduction, okay, of some concept, some theory, some fact, whatever. Okay, some person maybe. Fourth one is always rephrasing this. Okay, so you reiterate the same thing or maybe ask a question about it. Okay, third has to be the reinforcement of the iteration. So you just reinforce. Okay, so you just reinforce, and that's precisely third line always. And fourth line will be like examples and stuff like the way we have GDs. Okay, so you start a point, explain it. Okay, give an example and connect it back. So that's how it's going to be always in a parajumble. Okay, so those 5 questions are easily trackable, precisely, I would say. Okay, so let's take it forward from here. uh, let's talk about the parajumble. Okay, now if you notice carefully, however, while reading they would have known blah blah blah. However, while reading is not going to be a, since then their use, I mean, it's a pronoun. It's probably addressing the third person, so it doesn't make sense to have a start. In earlier days people learned by reading out loud. Yeah, this can be a start, but not everybody uses the same punctuations to address this problem, blah blah blah. Thus further, so definitely C is starting. In earlier days people went reading out loud, and then definitely it has to go in the same order. Okay, now when I talk about reading out loud, it has to be about reading again. Okay, so if you notice, like, let's start with the first. However, while reading they would not know the when to pause and what to emphasize. Yeah, now reading out loud is a quality, so that's an introduction. Reading out loud, they reiterated it. However, reading out loud was not, because their punctuations and where to stop and what to exaggerate, how to keep your tone and everything was not really uh, known to them. Yeah, and it'll take it forward from there. Okay, so you can just go for it. Okay, it's not a big deal, it's very simple. Okay, since then their use has been regularized in punctuation rule and followed by all. No, you are supposed to talk about when to pause and what to emphasize. Now there's a problem, they don't know when to pause, what to emphasize, so they'll give you a solution to this problem. So to address this problem, various sign depicting various punctuations were introduced. Yeah, and then you can take it forward from here. Okay, uh, that's so simple. So parajumbles again is a very simple thing, not a big deal at all. uh, Now, if you look at this, fill in the blanks, look at the words still, since, from, after, on. Okay, 20 years dash now. Okay, now since is going to be something which is starting. Okay, like for example, I've been doing this since 14th April 1991, let's say. Okay, I've been doing I have a start date. Okay, it may be a continuation. It doesn't necessarily should end. People have this kind of a confusion that since normally ends. Okay, it doesn't end. It just have to have a start. Okay, yeah, so precisely it won't be since. So 20 years from now, precisely. Okay, not for now, after now. Okay, so it has to be from now. All right, nearly 80% of the world population will live in urban areas. Impact of urbanization might not be positive in the as other urban expansion is happening at much what rate. What kind of rate is talking about? Might happening at what rate than infrastructure expansion? Faster, slower? What do you think? Slower, because they're talking about that. Yeah, same goes further, and you can just take it forward. Substantiality issues need to be what? Issues need to be considered. Understand what do you think? Considered, obviously. Okay, yeah, so this is how you take any closed test, and this is like hardly a 10-second per question kind of a thing. Again, data sufficiency when it comes to quant is the same thing. In how many days will 5 men finish your work? 5 women, sorry. 2 women, 5 boys, 3 men, 8 days, 6 women, 16 days. So if I have 6 women, 16 days, I can do you monthly income is this much more than Sonu, and Sonu's is this much more than that guy. So you can find out that in that case, or whatever. If you cannot find out, just mark accordingly. But again, not a very difficult thing. What is Praveen's age after 4 years? We are emphasizing on Praveen's age, okay, after 4 years. So ratio is Praveen and Shekhar's present is this much. Shekhar is 6 years elder. So he'll always be elder. Yeah. So you can definitely find out using both the statement. That's why the answer is 5. Okay. Uh, what is the area of the circle? Radius is equal to the length of a rectangle. The breadth is equal to 20 centimeters. We cannot find the length at all because we haven't been given the area. All right. That's how it works. I mean, look at quant question. Now, this is like the best kind of thing they can experience ever. Okay. For the second round, what should you attempt first? RC, VR, or DI? So, Slachi, you have this thing RC, VR, or DI. Now, second round, you normally go attempting, uh, RC, VR, or DI if you have the confusion in these three. Okay. I'd probably say whatever you feel is strong for you. I'd say RC precisely. Okay. Or I'd say DI for that matter. So it doesn't really make a difference anyway. So you can start with whatever you want. Okay. But make sure the second round has these three things. Okay. RC, VR, and DI. Parth, yeah, whatever. You got it right. Seems the same thing. Okay. All right. Let's move ahead. So let's say I have this kind of a question in con. Man sold a wristwatch for 2,400, loss of 25%. What ratio do I earn profit? 25%. Come on. This is not a question. Okay. So he says that 2,500 loss, 2,400 loss of 25%. What should a gain of 25%? So precisely they want loss of 25, 75. It gives you 2,400. 125 gives you how much? Okay, again, cancel here itself, 3 and 5. So 3 is 2,400, 1 is 800. So 5 is going to be 4,000. And that's the answer, 4,000. Yeah. So you don't have to like literally cross multiply a lot of times. Yeah. Let's go forward. Average of 5 numbers is so and so. Average of the first 4 is 54. What is the fifth number? Average of the first 4 is given to you. Okay. What is going to be the fifth number? It's pretty obvious, 64. Okay. But think how? Okay. Because the first 4 numbers are 54, which means they take 2 away. Okay. So the fifth number has to give you a 10 more. Yeah. To make it 56 for all of you. So it's going to be 64. Number added to 7/9 of 30% of 500 is value obtained so and so. What is the number? Okay. Again, the same thing is like a BODMAS thing. You can just go for it. Angle of three angles is 145. Fourth angle is 60. What is the difference between largest and smallest? The fourth is 60. The remaining is 300. 310 parts because 5, 4, and 1 is 10 parts. Here 5, 4, 1 going to be 10 parts. So per part is 30. Per part is 30. You have 30. You want to find the difference between largest and smallest? Per part is 30. 30 is the answer. Okay. Largest and smallest. Sorry. 5 and 1. So 4 parts. 4 parts precisely means 120. Least number subtract 1 for complete divisible by 88. Okay. Now complete divisible by 88 means divisible by 11 and 8 both. So you can just check accordingly and get the answer. We can just find out the remainder of 88 and 1740. So if I just go for it, if it'll be like 17, if I'm not wrong, it's 1740. Yeah, 1740. 1740 by 88 I'll do. Okay. Just find the remainder and cancel 4s. Okay. I cancel 4s directly. So I have 4 4s are 16 and 14 left and 4 3s are 12 and you have 2 left and 5. So 435 by 4 and the remainder because 30 so sorry, not 4, it's going to be 435 by 22. Okay. Just find the remainder in this case and multiply, and that's the number you'll subtract to get the answer. All right. So slower, agreed. VR is usually better as others require initial time, high time. VR is visual reasoning. It requires high time too, in fact. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk further. So we have peak concurrent viewers. Anyway, conclusions. Okay, you have syllogisms here. All something or something. I mean, that's very simple. I've taught you syllogism. So these things you definitely do first. Okay, these things you don't waste time at all. You should attempt these questions right away. Okay, in the first round itself. This will help you get somewhere around decent marks. The cause effect is like you can just find out like A is a cause, B is the effect, B is the cause, A is the effect. Okay, ask a question why, you'll find the effect. Okay, accordingly. Yeah, you can just go for this as well, and taking that forward. All right, so it's here. Now you have visual reasoning for that matter. Now visual reasoning is going to be like, half of the visual reasoning. Visual reasoning already in the second round. Now the visual reasoning is going to be very micro level visual reasoning. If you notice carefully, the arrow here, okay, is now facing right, down, left, down. So it's going to be, it's rotating by how many degrees? 45, 90, 135, 180. It's going to be 230. Like 180 plus the 45 is going to be 225. Okay, so it's going to rotate 225 clockwise. Okay, so if you notice 225 clockwise, when I rotate this 225 clockwise, it'll look upwards because 225 clockwise is upwards. So I have three options left, and then you can look at nines and the number of nines and sequences of nines. Okay, you have three nines, four nines, two nines, five nines. Okay, one nine, and then you'll have six nines precisely. So very well said. This kind of position going on the answers. All right, so visual reasoning, I think you should just one thing for visual reasoning I recommend. Okay, just do my mocks for visual reasoning. Don't do anything else but my mock material for visual reasoning. That should be more than enough to solve any question, because last year all the questions of visual reasoning that I've asked in CET were from my mocks. All right, so just do the mocks. That should be enough. Okay, have a look at this. There's like again symbols and coding and series coding and everything like that. It's very simple. Again, you can easily uh, go through it and get all place sorted. Okay. uh all right, so I just finished the first round. So first round, like input output, definitely a first round thing. Okay, pass code and so on. When you have and so on, there's a special way to do that question. Okay, uh we'll talk about that in a while. Okay, let the guys who have a lot of doubts and stuff come over as well. Okay, so you do that in the first round. So again, visual reasoning, we'll keep it for second round. Then you have analogy kind of a thing or series completion. I mean, these kind of questions are very simple. Okay, but they do come in CET, so definitely pay attention to these. Okay, again, the last is visual reasoning. So that's how entire paper, like, the first round itself, okay, would guarantee a score of around, as I mentioned earlier, around 125, 130, 130 marks. Okay, and then you can take it forward from there. Now the topic here is, how are you in person? Okay, so the guys who are here right now, okay, just tell me, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses? Okay, which areas do you have a lot of issues in? I want the reports from you in a detailed version. Okay, which areas have a lot of issues for you? Okay, which you face a lot of issues in those, and which areas are the ones like you go really chilled out with, like you're okay with it. Okay, precisely, that's the point. So go ahead, please. You may just start telling me what areas are you really doubtful about. Okay, which areas do you think you take a lot of time? Okay, so I'll just pause for a while, and I'll let you talk now. Okay, one more thing I forgot to tell you. Lag of 60 seconds. So whatever I speak here, you hear it after 60 seconds precisely. Okay, so that's the point. So you may talk now. Okay, I'm going to start talking. Okay, all right. So go ahead. Now, what you do is normally, now if you're working or not working, doesn't matter. Okay, what you do normally is you start off, okay, your day writing one mock. Okay, like get up in the morning. Okay, if you're working, you may manage this alongside your work somehow. Okay, like get up in the morning. Okay, let's say around, if you're working, get up at 7 a.m. in the morning. Okay, if you aren't working, you may get up like around say 10 a.m. Okay, let's say, and as soon as you get up, in 1 hour do your daily chores, and in 1 hour you start writing the mock. Okay, first mock should be taken in the morning. Okay, any mock you want to. Yeah, the first mock precisely. The next mock, now what you'll do is, let's say the 8 a.m guys will finish up by 11, and the 10 a.m guys will finish up by 1. Now what you do is you analyze these mocks. How do you analyze these mocks? Look at every question in detail. Sometimes you may have questions directly lifted from various mocks. Okay, every question in detail. Okay, and that will help you a lot. Okay, because sometimes you may just have a question in CET that you've seen before. I mean, undoubtedly whoever has been to JB has had 20 questions that they have seen before, so they have to just do click next. Okay, that gives them the entire time left for 180 questions. Okay, that gives you a lot of advantage if you notice carefully. Okay, because if you have 180 only to do, okay, what's the big deal then? Okay, now we have 2.5 hours more to go. Okay, you just have 180 questions to do. That's why precisely I'd recommend, okay, always emphasize on that. Okay, I'll explain the logic behind this particular mock's input output. Yes, I'll do that, Mandvi. Just give me 2 minutes, okay? I'll do that. I'll just go there. I was just talking about some strategy. I just came back to see what you've been speaking. Okay. Uh, all right then. So let's talk further. So look at every question well. Okay, analyze it. Take 3 to 4 hours analyzing it at least. All right. So when you start at 1 o'clock, let's say, analyzing, yeah, you should analyze it till let's say 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's just 6 days, man. You can chill after that if you want. You can chill the entire life if you get a JB. Okay. But 3 to 4 hours, please do analyze the mock. Okay. And then write one another mock at 6. Let's say 6 till let's say 9 o'clock. Finish analyzing this by around 1 a.m. in the morning. All right, and you go off to sleep. And you start again. Do this for the next 6 days. Okay. And trust me, your scores will amplify like mad. Okay, you'll get scores which are like you never thought you would. Okay, so I'll be talking about the mock particularly. Okay, Mandvi had asked it out. Strengths, logical reasoning, verbal ability, PJ, sentence completion and correction. What about weaknesses? Anyway, Parth, what about you? Please post in your strengths and weaknesses too. All right. And the remaining 5 viewers, I see only Mandvi, Slachi, and Parth here. The remaining 5 viewers, you've been a chosen few. Please go ahead, type it down. Okay. Yeah. So I'll talk about that particular input output you want, right? So I'll just go to that input output set. Where was that? Yeah, it was somewhere towards the end. So I'll just go there. Just a minute. All right. So no, I guess it was towards the start. Okay. So I'll find it out. It is yeah, it's here. So it's a passcode kind of an input output, right? Now when you have passcode kind of an input output, there are two things. So I'll just talk about passcode kind of input output and what do you have. Now when you have a passcode kind of an input output, uh, basically you need to understand two rules here. Rule number one, whenever you have a passcode kind of an input output, the length of the string remains same. I'll tell you why. You'll understand this why. Okay, remains same. Which means that the demo, if the introduction question is given to you as a 6 letter word, I mean, sorry, 6 word sentence. Okay, every other question will be a 6 word sentence. Okay. Second, there's a pattern followed. Let's understand how and why. Okay. Now here the input is you should know about the type of question. So I write it down. You should know about the type of question. I'm not wrong. Type of questions. Okay. Now this is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7. 7 length. If you look at the question, if the input is 8 friends are still sitting in the circle, again 7. So the entire logic relies on this. Okay. So we'll talk. Chalo. Okay. Now passcode 1. Batch 1 says you question should of no type about. So it says you question should of no type about. Now, what I'll do here is I'll just number these. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, just look at it carefully. Okay, you don't have to do this actually. Okay, you have to do this mentally. 1 goes to 1, closed. Okay, 2 goes to 3. Okay, uh, 3 goes to where does 3 go? 2 goes to 3 means show becomes third position. 3 goes to no goes to 5. 3 goes to 5. Where does 5 go? Type goes to 6. Okay. Where does 6 go? Off goes to 4. Where does 4 go? About goes to 7. Where does 7 go? Question goes to 2. So again 2. Which means 1 is stable and the rest are moving. Alright. The 1 is stable. Now just have to check whether it's same in the second to third. Okay. So it says passcode batch 1 says you question should know about type. Batch 2 says about you type questions no should off. Okay. Now see, batch code 2 says about you type. Okay. Uh, question no should off. Question no should off. Right? Now, I'll have another logic for this. Let's see what the logic is. Okay. Now, what happens here? Look at from 2 to 3. Don't look at from 1 to 3. Okay. Look at from here to here. Hmm? Where does 1 go? 1 goes to 2. Where does 2 go? 2 goes to 4. Where does 4 go? 4 goes to 7. Where does 7 go? 7 is about, it comes to 1. So there's a circle. Yeah. Look at the rest. Now we are left with 3. Where does 3 go? 3 goes to 6. Where does 6 go? Type goes to 3 again. So 3 and 6 are exchanging. Okay. One more thing is left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is left. 5 remains as it is. Okay. Now, when you go, normally what happens is this is one logic in both the cases. Okay. I mean, across the input output, this is one logic. Here there are two logics. So might be from 2 to 3, you'll again follow this logic. Okay. Let's see. 1 goes to 1, yes. 2 goes to 3, yes. Yeah, so we're following this logic and so on. So it's swapping. It's basically swapping. So from 1 to 2, you have one logic. From 2 to 3, you have another logic. From 3 to 4, you have again the first logic. All right. That's pretty simple. So I have from input to this one logic, and batch 1 to batch 2 another logic, and batch 2 to batch 3 the same logic again. Right. Now the input is so and so. What is the passcode for 3 p.m. guys? Okay. All you have to do is find the passcode for 3 p.m. guys to understand. Okay, now see, 6 batches every day, right? And so on to the 6th batch. Batch works for 1 hour. So 10 a.m. No, input is given to you at 10 a.m. Okay, first batch begins work at 10 a.m. if the input is so and so. First batch begins at 10 a.m. So if first batch begins at 10, second batch begins at 11, third begins at 12, fourth begins at 1, fifth at 2, sixth at 3. Now from the input to 10, you will have first logic, this is second logic, this is first logic, this is second logic, this is first logic, this is second logic. All right. Yeah. So you can just take it ahead from there and use the subsequent logic. Okay. And you can actually find out what a string would be like. Okay. So you have to work a little bit here, of course. Okay. Palak Jain, weakness is visual reasoning and waste a lot of time while solving certain questions like input output. Okay. Yeah, Palak, I'll talk about that. Sir, it takes me 100 minutes for round 1. But after 50 minutes, I try to attempt caseless and DI because they are my strengths, and a few questions for visual reasoning. So I end up leaving 10 questions of visual, and my accuracy is also less in visual. Okay. So visual seems to be a problem. Don't worry, we're going to have a lecture on caselets tomorrow and lecture on visual reasoning day after, or maybe on Thursday. Okay. So we have that plan. Don't worry about that. Okay. Just go through my mock visual reasonings. Okay. Questions. All right. Let's talk further. So, all right. I hope that is fine. Let's go here. Okay, so that's how you do. Okay, now when you talk about visual reasoning and caselets, we'll take care of that tomorrow and day of Thursday. Sorry. Okay, talk about the other things. They're very straightforward. Okay, but don't take so much time. I suggest like what's the name, Pratik. Don't take so much time in something like first round, because first round is supposed to finish it off by around 80 to 90 minutes. Try to do 2 mocks a day. Try to improvise on that. Okay, weakness is visual reasoning and waste a lot of time while solving input output questions. So, Palak, input output is something that you should not waste time on, because you'll have either this logic, okay, that's called the passcode logic, okay, the passcode continues across, or you'll have some logic which is going to be shifting. Okay, swapping is very unlikely. Okay, something that you faced in NMAT is very unlikely in CET. Don't worry about that too. Okay. Okay, one more news, guys. This year, just read about it, around 50,000 people, less than 50,000 people are taking CET. Okay, so you have a good chance, which means you have a strong chance. Okay, also one more thing, you'll get your everything by 10th of March, which is tomorrow, like your venue, your center, and your date and your allocation, everything you'll get by tomorrow. All right, speed is a main issue. So Palak, tell me, where do you lack speed? Exactly what happens to when you start off solving a question, let's say. Okay, so for that, you can just actually follow my mock discussion videos, Palak. But still, I'll just give you a gist of it. Now, whenever you see a question in CET, let's say, for example, I go to a mock. Okay. Now I see a question in CET. For example, anything. It's not necessary. For example, something like these things. Okay, which you do in the first round. Okay. Now, when you see a question, you don't even give a damn about like reading the above heading in each of the statements and all that. Don't read that. Okay. Go to statement directly. All need a thread. Start making it. Okay. So I make all need a thread. Needle thread. Okay, then you have All threads are boxes, so boxes, and then you have all trees are boxes. So all trees are also boxes. We'll keep tree inside here, okay, but not intersecting with threads and needles. All right. We'll go to quickly conclusions. Keep in mind in syllogisms, your job is to reject a conclusion and not to select it. So you just find one way to reject it. No needle is tree. Needle tree could have gone inside and intersected needle, not a problem. So it doesn't follow. Some trees, sorry, yeah, some trees are threads. Some trees are threads could have been possible. Yeah. Some boxes are needles. Some boxes are needles. Definitely follows. Some boxes are needles. Okay. And some trees are needles. Some trees are needles also follows. Okay. No, no, doesn't follow. Okay. So the answer is only three follows. Right. And then you check for either or. So no and some. You have either one or four and three follows. Yeah. So that's pretty simple. So that's the speed you take care of. Okay, you just should know these patterns of questions in CET very much ahead of the paper. Okay, so precisely when you even start the paper, you should know how it works, how it's going to be like. Okay, uh, so for that you'll get very familiar with the paper. Okay, trying to get familiar with the paper is not a difficult job because you know what kind of question, because whenever you have quant it's going to be this way only, so don't worry about that. All right, so Amit Karwa, weaknesses is family tree, series, odd man out, verbal, and RC, inference based question, and modern math. What is modern math? There's no modern math asked anyway, but still, let's just talk about modern math. Modern math, precisely, you'll have functions, okay, and you may have something like, I would say, something to deal with inequality sometimes. But don't worry, functions of function question of CET would be like f of x is x square plus 5 upon x, let's say. Find f of 4. Okay, so just say 16 plus 5 by 4, 21 by 4, and that's the answer. Yeah, it's going to be that easy. Inequality question again, we're going for how many values is x square minus 6x plus 8 more than 0. It's a quadratic equation with two roots, 2 comma 4. Okay, more than 0 is here, more than 0 is here it is less than 0, so the answer is 4 to infinity, not including 4, and minus infinity to 2, not including 2. Okay, so you'll have these kind of questions only. Don't worry about it at all. Okay, don't get your preconceived notions of cat in CET. Don't worry about that. Number series takes time. Registration statistics total this much, Maharashtra this much. Yeah. I know. But less than 50,000 will take CET because of a reason that every year we have 10 to 12% of people not taking the exam in spite of registering it. Registering for it. Yeah, accuracy in VR is the main problem. I seem to get another logic altogether. Doesn't happen all the time, but it discourages me to answer the question without cross checking. Accuracy in visual reasoning, that consumes a lot of time. Okay, VR is, I'm assuming this VR is visual reasoning. Okay, what you meant from VR here is visual reasoning. Don't worry about it. Okay, visual reasoning, when I take a lecture on visual reasoning on whenever like Wednesday or Thursday, okay, you'll be very sorted with it. Okay, so don't worry about that as well. They have increased, sir. Okay, I just told you, Parth. Also doubts in course of action, I go, how should I tackle those questions? Parth, for course of actions, actually I recommend you view my YouTube video on course of action. I've explained that in much detail. Okay, how course of action work, but still, okay, four things you need to take care of. Course of action should be viable. Course of action should not be harsh. Okay, it should solve the problem immediately. If not immediately, not too far-fetched too at the same time. And you should also follow utopian world, utopian theory, where you're always good to everybody and you're always kind and benevolent to everyone. And finally, there should be a past experience of the same. Like, for example, the government has done something similar. Okay, for example, banning beef. Yeah, okay, so if today you have a question on banning beef, okay, you should definitely say beef is consumed in the majority part of the country in spite of cow being considered to be a sacred animal. uh, Course of action 1, consumption of beef should be banned. Follows. I know it's harsh, okay, but it's a past experience. All right, so past experiences will always take priority over something else. All right. Weaknesses, Mandvi, you say questions on mixtures, time and work. 8 men can do a certain task in 4 days. Then how many in 10 days? Type. Inferences, passage. Don't get time to solve number series. Okay, don't get time to solve passages. Uh, 8 men can do certain tasks in 4 days. Let's look at that kind of a question. So if you have 8 men can do certain work in 4 days, let's say, and 6 women can do the same work, let's say, in 3 days. Okay. If there are 7 men and 2 women, how much time will they take to finish the work? Right. So very simple. If I have 8 men, they can take in 4 days. 1 man can do 32 days. Okay, precisely. 6 women, 3 days. 1 woman, 18 days. Okay. Now 32 and 18. I'll just take the LCM. 18 has a 2. 32 has lots of 2s, so just 9 left. Okay. Which 32 doesn't have at all. So 32 nines should be the LCM. I won't even find the LCM. Precisely, I just keep it this way. 32 nines are because I have to actually find out later on 288 kind of thing. But for starters, division becomes easy. 9, and this is going to be canceling 2, so it's going to be 16. So a man can do 9, a woman can do 16. Now we have 7 men. You have to finish 288. 7 men is 63, and 2 women is going to be 32. So total is going to be 95. Okay, you have to find out 288 by 95, and that's the answer precisely. These many days they'll take together. All right, let's move forward. So that's how we go about everything. Okay, that's how we go about this time and work question precisely. I'm so sorry. Okay. Visual reasoning. I start off really well and then I get stuck at something. I do not move ahead till I don't finish solving it. Max I can solve 171 day, miss 20, 30. Accuracy is good though. Palak, start doing things in 2 rounds. Don't do things in 1 round. Okay. So you skip those questions that de-accelerate you precisely. Okay. You don't focus on those things at all. Okay. We end up skipping it. All right. So let's say I were taking CET. And now my weak areas, let's say I'll start something like this. Let's say if I go to this particular mock, okay, or let's say I take any random mock. Let's say I take mock 4, which is in the passive here. So let's say I take mock 4. Now when I see a mock 4, I'll start with this like direction, choose the question 5, I'll like blah blah blah. Okay, I know that first 15 questions are all about LR, miscellaneous LR, and then I have DI. DI in a way deaccelerates me, but I won't, in that case I won't touch it. Okay, if DI deaccelerates me. Let's say I see a parajumble question. Now if I have parajumble question, I know that parajumble is something that is very strong. Okay, I can give precisely, you're supposed to solve those areas where you can finish those areas in of 5 questions in not more than, let's say, 2.5 minutes. So I know that if I go for parajumble, I know the rules of parajumble, I will not, definitely not get it incorrect. Okay, so precisely when I look at such things like parajumbles are there, then I have, let's say, something like sentence correction, I will touch these areas. I mean, I think your problem is you are also referring to these things in between. If you just pounce upon them, okay, you're referring to these things as well. Yeah. So further, assumptions, conclusion, inference, can you just revise on a short and just their definitions? Again, part I'd say that please refer to my videos on YouTube. Okay, I've given them a detailed explanation of the same. Okay, after this gets done, this will wind up in some half an hour more. Okay, because I want to give you strategy of how to get a JB call in the next 5 days. Okay, and I wanted to implement that immediately. Okay, and once that is done, we can shut this down. Okay, and then we can take it forward from there. All right, so Palak, you spoke Sachi visual reasoning. I'll be talking visual reasoning day after. Strength, logical reasoning, verbal ability. That's pretty good. So improve your quant and DI, I would suggest. Okay, watch back my videos, watch back my uh, like refer my notes again. Everything should be enough, I'm sure. Okay, so you should not take more than 2.5 minutes for such questions at least, and those questions only you'll do. See, the idea is what I mean. Let's say ordinarily, let's say you find 120 questions like that. Let's assume you're doing this in half as much time as a number of questions, so you're going to do it in 60 minutes. Okay, but still I give you a buffer of 15 more minutes saying that do it in 75 minutes, because sometimes it may happen that something like a decision making or maybe a syllogism might seem very difficult to you, might want to recheck it one more time. But there'll be always areas where you can actually finish off in 2.5 minutes, for example, especially verbal, I'd suggest. Okay, so 120 questions you finish off in 75 minutes anyhow. Okay, let's say your rate is 100, as in your number of questions that you could attempt is 100 only. Okay, which are like these kind of questions, 2.5 minutes kind of question. In that case, you lesser the time as well. 60 should now be 50, and if you have plus 10 more minutes, so you can do in 60 minutes. So finish 101 hour at least. That's the intention. Okay, let's say your uh, rate of solving these easy questions is 90 questions. Okay, you can solve 90 questions. In that case, do 45 minutes and take 10 minutes extra and do finish off in 55, or maybe 5 to 10 minutes extra, finish off in around 50 to 55 minutes. Don't waste a lot of time in that. Okay, so these questions are your strengths. What my suggestion would be, anybody who has a rate of 90 or 100, try to bring yourself to 120, because 120 are actually doable. Okay, if you have issues with that, then we'll talk about it, how to take. It depends on the paper too, right? Like if a DI and the set is difficult, I let it go or stick to it. First round, let it go. Okay, definitely let it go. Maybe second round, you want to try it once. I mean, depends. I mean, paper is difficult. If the paper, okay, let's talk about this. Paper is difficult or easy. If it's an easy paper, you attempt 200, you're expected to score 160 plus. If it's a difficult paper, you attempt 200, you're expected to score 140 plus. But in any case, you attempt 200. That's the intention. Okay, so if you want to skip it also, let's say it's a difficult paper, you see a very difficult DI, complicated pie charts and bar graphs, in that case mark 5 options as B or C, but that's okay. But only 5 questions. You're not supposed to do this for every other questions type. Okay, you're supposed to do it only for one of those type of questions, not more than that. So are we clear here? Let's take it forward. So that's how it's supposed to be done. All right. So, okay. Now let's talk about what to do for JB and stuff. So first, I want you to tell me. I wanted to mail me, whoever is there, 9, 10 people, whoever, mail me your weak areas with questions, with screenshots if possible. Okay. Mail me these areas. Okay. With screenshots. These are my weak areas, and this is how I'm like really poor at these things. Okay. Number 2. Okay. Strong areas, try to get 100% accuracy. Number 3, write 2 mocks a day from tomorrow and try to score at least a 140 in these mocks, because I've chosen you guys because you can do it for sure. Okay, 140 plus at least in these mocks. Write 2 mocks a day. Okay, minimum of 2. If you have more time, you can go for 3 mocks a day. I don't mind, but 2 mocks at least. Okay, try to get 140 plus in these mocks. Okay, see if you're getting 110, then tell me where you're getting wrong. Okay, anyway, you doing my mocks, so give me your ID and password. Okay, whenever I get time, I will scan through it again and I'll tell you what areas are you lacking at. All right, but do that immediately. By solving more DI sets, will speed increase, taking 6 to 7 minutes to solve a set? Yeah, Tushar, definitely. By solving more DI sets, your speed will increase. Okay, but for that, you'll have to be using my methods. Okay, rather than like solving it the conventional in the conventional fashion. Use my methods. I've taught you good enough methods of solving DI. Try to solve those DI questions in the same way. Okay, all right. So let's take it forward. Okay, so I want these things to be done by tomorrow. Okay, so I want your reports by Tuesday, which is tomorrow, by 1 p.m. sharp. Okay, let me know what you're strong at, what you're weak at, and what you really like are lacking and everything like that. All right, let's take this ahead. Okay, I'm getting around 130 in your mocks, but I'm getting 100, 105 in time. What should I do to increase score in time mocks? See, time mocks are categorically difficult, first of all. Okay, they are difficult because they want to set it difficult. Okay, they believe in that way. Okay, so no offense here, but the thing is, if it's an easy paper, it's gonna be completely like mine. If it's a difficult paper, it's gonna be midway between me and time. Okay, so it's okay. I mean, you can try to increase scores in my mocks. Okay, because it's gonna be midway between me and time. If it's a difficult paper, last year they said a difficult paper cutoff was around 140, but it was exactly midway between me and time. Okay, let's talk further. Okay, so I want these 3 things to be done immediately. Okay, do it right away. Okay, don't sleep for tonight, it's fine, but do it. I want you to give me results. Okay, and I'm sure you will. Okay, but just do this. Okay, let's talk further. Let's see how we can take this forward. So now that's what I'm saying. Try to understand that these kind of questions, they may seem logical reasoning to you. You might feel that logical reasoning is my strength, but still don't do it, because these questions are not those questions you'll get like straight. Okay, and you may get something like this, for example, 1333 whatever, multiplication by 3 every time. Okay, and you can talk about that, but still DI, for example, don't do it right away. Okay, don't do it. I mean, do cont easily. Okay, you can do cont very easily. You can finish cont like in like matter of seconds. Okay, but I would say when it comes to DI and logical reasoning, do it later on. Logic, sorry, visual reasoning, do it later on. Okay. All right. So this is one thing. Yeah. For example, see, and even if you're doing RCs, okay, even if you do RCs, I'd suggest in RCs, do the synonyms and antonyms if all you want to. Okay. You can do these first. Okay. You can do synonyms and antonyms in the first. Okay. And then come to RCs in the second round. So you can just swap through the entire paper. Okay. And find out where RC is, just in case you, I mean, oh, one more thing. Don't try to find out which question is where. Just go from 1 to 200. Okay. Aram se. Okay. Keep clicking and keep finding. Okay. And whenever you see an easy question, like these five are easy questions, so I will definitely go for them. All right. So yeah, but if I see something like this, seven friends sitting on a different whatever, I'll skip it. Straight skip. Okay. One more thing, keep noting down. Okay. For example, we just skipped question numbers from uh, seven friends, right? So study the following: seven friends, seven friends, seven friends, seven friends, seven friends. So I have seven friends till 94. I start from 87. So I'm gonna skip from 87 to 94. But while skipping, I'm gonna write it down. 87 to 94 is a caselet. Okay, make your own abbreviations if you want, if you don't want to waste a lot of time. Okay, is a caselet. So that while you come back, you at least have an idea that what to solve now. Okay, that's pretty important. All right, what else have you to say? Okay, all right, so I think I will get the reports very soon. I expect the reports by tomorrow afternoon. Okay. So you have my mail ID, obviously, numbers by Rohan Rawal at gmail.com. Okay. So you can mail it there, numbers by Rohan Rawal at gmail.com. You can go to my website too. Out there also you'll find the links at sorry at gmail.com. One day this will come too, when I have a .com next to my name. Okay. Yeah. So at gmail.com, you can just go there and talk about it. Okay. And then what we'll do from tomorrow is, okay, when we run this particular thing, this particular thing will be a private session. It won't be a public one. So we're not going to be like, nobody's going to get this session like, uh, probably if you check it after I shut the session down. Okay. It's a private one. So whenever the private session is declared, please keep checking your emails regularly. I'll probably declare it later, like in the later half of the day, precisely because a lot of you are working. So I'll be declaring it after like 6 precisely. But it may happen that I may declare an event at, let's say, 12 in the night sometimes. Okay. So please keep checking your emails regularly for the next 5 days. Okay. Just in case if you see my link, my email. Okay. Just click that and just come over here. And I want you to give me uh, your mocks. Okay. And I want to analyze one mock of everybody with that person in particular. Okay. So whoever I've mailed, I want to analyze one mock of yours with you. Okay. I want to sit with you. I want to YouTube with you. I want to do it one on one with you, and I want to like analyze where you're going wrong. So I want your mocks. I want your ID and password. Okay. If you want to change the password for a while and just give it to me, whatever. But I want that. Okay. CET King in time 125 130. IMS 120. CET King I don't rush much, so I don't know. Time is fine. Not increasing beyond 99.6. So I just told you, Amit. So I'm just going to be scoring 140 to 160. I saw that. Pretty cool, Amit. So 140 160 in my mocks is like very nice, very decent. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. I want to do one mock of analysis between like one on one. Okay. Maybe in groups of 3 if you want to, maybe in groups of 4 if you want to, but one on one will be the best. Okay. But I want to tell you that these are the things that you lack. All right. So that's it. So we just had a 1 hour session, and that's what's needed right now. Okay. And we'll keep having 1 hour sessions only every time when it comes to this kind of a batch. That's it for now. So I'll see you off. Thank you very much. Enjoy yourself. Hope you get into JB and hope you make me proud. Please subscribe to my channel and like my Facebook page. We're going to start Cat 15 very soon. Please spread the word. Thank you very much. Have a good time. Good night. Okay. And I want to analyze